Hi, I'm Darnell Cox with Live Young Lifestyle, and today we're talking about my favorite fruit, avocados. So this is a very finicky fruit in that when you buy this from the grocery store, it's really hard to tell what is ripe. And if you want to use it right away, what are the hacks to get it to ripen quickly? And once you've cut it, how do you store it? So we're going to cover all of those things today, but first, I want to tell you about the many health benefits of this amazing fruit. So a serving of avocados has 6 grams of healthy monounsaturated fats. So it actually helps to lower your LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, and raise your HDL, which is the good cholesterol. I mean, it's pretty amazing how heart healthy this fruit is. Avocados are also a really good source of fiber. So eating an avocado can help you feel full, keeps you satisfied, and helps you from overeating. So it's really good addition for healthy weight control. And they're loaded with potassium. I mean, few people know that an avocado actually has more potassium than a banana. It's like, what? In addition to being full of potassium, they're also loaded with vitamin C, so they're great for your immune system. Avocados are also really good for the health of your eyes. They contain antioxidants which actually lower your probability of having macular degeneration and cataracts. Avocados also help prevent osteoporosis. I know that seems a little unusual, right? But it's loaded with vitamin K, and this is an essential nutrient that is actually overlooked a lot, but really, really important for bone health. So now that you know all the health benefits of avocados, how do you choose the right one and how do you know when it's ripe? So one of the ways to tell if an avocado is ripe is to just squeeze it in the palm of your hands. So you don't want to squeeze it with your fingertips because you could bruise the flesh, which would turn it brown. But just give it a little gentle squeeze in your palm. And if you feel it's a little bit soft, then it's probably ripe. If it's really hard, it needs a few more days to ripen. But the second way to tell is you can do the stem test. So this is the stem of the avocado, and if you just take your fingernail and pop this off, you can see the color underneath. And if it's green underneath and it's a little bit soft, that means that it's probably perfect. So I'm gonna cut this now, and you can kind of see if it's a good avocado. Look at that. Perfect. But what if they don't have any ripe avocados at the grocery store and you want to use something a few days later? How do you take a hard, unripened avocado and get it to ripen as quickly as possible so that you can use it? Here we go. The best way to do that is just to leave them out, not in the refrigerator. So you've got a green avocado, it's hard, you want to ripen it, just leave them in a bowl on the countertop, out in the open air, and let them ripen naturally. But what if you've got a super hard avocado and you want to ripen it more quickly? So one of the tricks is to take a paper bag, this is just a sandwich bag, place the avocado in the paper bag. Let me get one that's hard. Yep, so this one's not yet ripe. Place it in the paper bag, and again, you can just leave it out. The gas that's produced by the avocado is going to ripen this a little bit quicker. A way to ripen it even quicker is to take your paper bag, put your avocado in, and add a piece of fruit like an apple, a banana, or a kiwi, and seal the paper bag. So the gas produced by the apple is going to speed up how quickly this avocado ripens. Okay, so what if you're desperate and you need the avocado right now and none of them are ripe? They're all too hard. Desperate times, desperate measures, you can actually put this in the oven. So you'd wrap it in aluminum foil, preheat the oven to 200, stick this in there and check it every 10 to 15 minutes. It does change the texture and the taste of the avocado a little bit, so it's not as creamy and the taste is not as pronounced. But in a pinch, if you want to use it in a soup or something like that, it is a way to ripen an avocado in about 10 minutes. So now that you've ripened your avocados, how do you store them so that they don't go bad and they can last a long time? The best way to store them is put them in the refrigerator in an airtight container or in the produce drawer, and they can last up to 2 weeks. You don't, however, want to put an unripe avocado in the refrigerator. What will happen is it'll take a long time to ripen, and it changes the flavor and also the texture of the fruit. So the only time you're putting an avocado in the refrigerator is if it's already perfectly ripe. So we've just scooped out this avocado, and I'm gonna use this later on a salad. So what do we do with this half that we're not gonna use right away? What's the best way to store this to where it's not gonna oxidize as fast? And by oxidize, I mean the flesh turns brown when the oxygen hits it. It doesn't mean that the avocado's bad, but it's really not nice to look at. And to be honest, it kind of grosses me out. The way to do this is to keep the skin on and to keep the pit in. So by keeping the pit in, you're protecting the flesh underneath the pit from hitting the oxygen. And the same thing with the skin. So if I were just to put this into a glass container and close the lid, we still have all the oxygen around the container that's gonna turn the flesh brown. So the best way to do this is to take a piece of plastic wrap and cover the avocado as tightly to the flesh as possible so that no oxygen can get in. And that's gonna keep the flesh from oxidizing. Then we wrap it. Again, make sure that it's pressed right up against the flesh. So then we put this in a container, and this could last in the refrigerator for like up to 5 days. It's not a perfect solution because when you take it out, whatever oxygen was in there, it could start turning it a little bit brown, but it does definitely decrease the rate of doing that. And if you do have a little bit of brown, you just scoop it off, just cut around it. So that's the first way. Another way to store a cut avocado, if you don't want to use the single-use plastics, is to, again, keep the pit and the skin on, put it into an airtight container, and then you're adding a little slice of onion. And what this does is the gases produced from the onion keep the avocado from oxidizing. Now it does, see, I just lay the onion right in there. It does kind of change the flavor a tiny bit, but honestly, like on an avocado toast or in a sandwich, it's kind of nice. It's like a little bit of a tang of an onion with your avocado. So that's another way. So the best way to do it if you've already scooped the avocado out is to mash it down into the container. Okay, so we get that all flat. Use a single-use plastic again, and I will give you an alternative to this, and really push this down to where there's no oxygen between the plastic and the avocado. And then you put the cap on and put this back in the refrigerator. This will definitely slow down the process of oxidation. But if you open it up in a couple days and it has a slight brown tint in some areas, you just take your spoon and scoop it off. Again, if you don't want to use a single-use plastic, you can use the power of fruit to help slow down the oxidation process. So you just take a lime, which if you're using it for guacamole, which I love, this is actually going to make the guacamole taste a lot better. But you squeeze lime juice on the top, so you've got like this barrier. It helps prevent the oxidation as well. And if guacamole is your thing, because guacamole is my thing, make sure that you check out my video, The Best Guacamole Ever, because it literally is the best guacamole ever. It took me a long time to come up with that recipe, but it is so good. So make sure that you check that out. I will have a link to that in the description. If you like what I do, make sure you give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe and hit that little alarm button so that you know when a new video drops. Adding healthy fats like avocados to your diet, that's a really good way to live young.